Hi, third graders. We're going to start off with chapter 19 today. Long after midnight, Samara came to visit me. She wore a blue robe. Her dark curly hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail. Her eyes held moonlight in them. She sat at the base of my trunk on her blanket. She didn't look at the carved word or the splinter of the moon or the blue and green houses. She just sat quietly and waited. It took a while, but it always happened. One by one, the babies ventured out to see her. Harold was first, flapping awkwardly down to the ground. The raccoon babies, you, and you, were next. Raccoon mothers are notorious forgetful, so they don't bother with traditional names. The possums, the skunks, they all came. Samara sat perfectly still. The babies circled her. Together they sat in the shimmer of moonlight and listened to my leaves rustle. Bongo settled on Samara's shoulder. "Hello," she said in her crow version of Samara's voice. "Hello," Samara said, echoing the echo. Bongo squawked, and Samara jumped a bit. Even Bongo's quietest caw is a bit on the harsh side. Bongo flew up to my smallest hollow and poked her head inside. Her tail feathers were still visible. With something shiny in her beak, she returned to the ground in front of Samara. Gently, she placed a tiny silver key attached to a long, faded red ribbon in Samara's open hand. "It's beautiful," Samara whispered. "Thank you." Bongo bent forward, wings spread in a sort of bow. It was, in crow circles, a sign of great affection. I'd seen that key before. Bongo had inherited it from her mother. Crows live in extended families, and they pass information across generations. It didn't surprise me that Bongo still had the key, or that she'd decided to give it to Samara. In the sweet calm surrounded by everything I loved, moonlight, air, grass, animals, earth, people, I wondered, with a pang, how much longer I would be able to savor these moments. I wondered, too, if I'd done enough for the world I loved. It was something I'd asked myself before, but impending death has a way of focusing your attention. Sure, I'd provided plenty of shade, made oceans of oxygen for people to breathe, been a home to an endless parade of animals and insects. I'd done my job. A tree is, after all, just a tree. Like I told Bongo, we must grow, as our seeds decided to long ago. And yet, 216 rings, 864 seasons, and still something was missing. My life had been so safe. Upstairs, a curtain in the greenhouse moved. Behind it, Stefan was just visible, watching us. I knew what he was thinking. One of the advantages of being a good listener is that you learn a great deal about how the world works. In Stefan's eyes, in the way he'd looked at Samara that afternoon, I saw something I'd seen many times before. A wish. Chapter 20. Samara left. I felt restless. Restlessness is not a useful quality in a tree. We move in tiny bits, cell by cell, roots inching further, buds nudging into the sunlight, or we move because someone transplants us to a new location. When you're a red oak, there's no point in feeling fidgety. Trees, as I said, are meant to listen, to observe, to endure. And yet, just once, before I said goodbye to the world, what would it be like to be something other than passive? Passive means to, be quiet, you don't let things get to you, just kind of sit and watch. To be an actor in stories unfolding around me, maybe even to make things a little bit better. "Bongo," I said softly, "are you awake?" I am now, she grumbled. I have a question. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning. How does friendship happen? That's a good question. Anyone know that answer? Send me an email if you know how friendships work. Bongo responded by snoring. I could tell it was sort of a fake snore. Her real snores are so loud they scare the baby possums. I'm serious, I said. Bongo groaned. I don't know, it just happens. But how does it happen? Friends have things in common, Bongo said. And there you go, your answer in 5 words. See you in the AM, pal. I thought about her reply. But what do you and I really have in common when you get right down to it? With a loud exhale, Bongo flew to the ground. Okay, I'm thoroughly awake now. Thank you very much. What's this all about? Just an idea. Here's an idea for you. Ideas are a bad idea, said Bongo, especially if someone is in busybody mode. I'm looking at you, Red. Back to my question. Why are we friends? Okay, fine. Let me think about it for a minute. Bongo walked in slow circles around my trunk, considering. I love the way birds move, so unlike trees. We bend with the wind, we're graceful and unhurried. Birds, on the other hand, move in flits and twitches. Their heads whip from side to side as they've just heard astonishing news. Bongo paused. Well, to begin with, you're my home, and I'm your tenant. But that's not really a reason for us to be friends. I've had residents I wasn't really particularly fond of. That squirrel was, what was his name? Squinch? That one had bad breath. Not important. I knew it was Squinch. Bongo, I said, please focus. Bongo gazed up at me. We're friends because we're friends, Red. Isn't that enough? Her voice was small and sweet, not her usual get-to-the-point crow tone. You're right, I guess. I suppose 2 people needed to be friends. How would you make that happen? Maybe get them together, doing something? They yak, share a laugh, voila, friendship. Am I right? I don't like it when you leads to ideas. You can go back to sleep, Bongo. Thank you for talking. You're a good friend. Likewise, Bongo flew up to her nest. Hey, be sure to let me sleep in. Bongo? What now? One more thing. Why do you think people can be so cruel to each other? It's not like the rest of us are exactly angels. Last night, I saw Agnes eat a whole lizard in one bite. Agnes, the barn owl, who lived with her nestlings in my highest hollow, flapped her wings in annoyance. Hey, girls gotta eat, and you're a fine one to talk, Bongo. Is there anything crows won't eat? My point, Bongo continued, is that the world's a tough place. Doesn't matter if you're a bunny or a lizard or a kid. With that, Bongo started snoring, for real this time. But I was still wide awake. Ma, what's that horrible noise? Came the startled voice of a baby possum. That's just Bongo sleeping, her mother replied. Bongo had been right. I was hatching a plan. She'd always said I was a busybody, not to mention an optimist. An optimistic buttonski. Well, there were worse types. Trees are the strong and silent type. Unless we're not. Chapter 21. Bongo and I said early that morning, as the last star faded like weary fireflies, there's something I need to do. Does it involve potato chips? Bongo mumbled. No, then I'd rather sleep. It's about Samara. You promised you'd let me sleep in. I didn't promise. You implied. I want to grant Samara's wish. This roused Bongo. She fluttered down to her favorite branch, the one she nicknamed home plate. Bongo likes to watch the kids play softball at the elementary school. Ah, Red. You don't make wishes happen. You're the place where wishes go. You're like a leafy garbage bag can. In a good way. For 216 rings, I've sat on my roots and listened to people hope for things. And a lot of time, those wishes never happened, I'm guessing. Bongo tucked a feather into place. Sometimes that's for the best. Remember that kindergartner who wanted a bulldozer? I'm passive. I just sit here and I watch the world. You're a tree, Red. That's kind of in your job description. This is a good wish, and it's a wish I can make happen. I paused. Well, we can make happen. Yeah, I had a feeling that's where this is going. Bongo glided to the ground. Look, I heard Samar's wish. How exactly are you going to find her a friend? You'll see. You'll see, I said, hoping I sounded more confident than I felt. Bongo paced back and forth. With each step, her head bobbled forward. I've got more serious issues, pal. Francesca's talking about turning you into toothpicks, and your residents are frantic about where they're going to move if that happens. She came close and nudged me fondly. Of course, they're worried about you too. I know that. Fresh baked bread poked her head out from under the porch. It had barely dawned, and only the white stripe running the length of her face was clearly visible. So remember that skunks name themselves after good-smelling things. I've offered to take in one of the tree families temporarily, she announced. Preferably the possums. They're better behaved than the ewes. That's very generous of you, Fresh, I said. But I was interrupted by Big Ewe. So remember those raccoons. The mother of the 3 raccoon babies. She was in my large hollow, grumbling under her breath. I beg your pardon, she exclaimed. You have excellent manners. They're too inquisitive, said Fresh Baked Bread, always poking their noses where they shouldn't be, grabbing things with those little paws of theirs. Well, at least they don't stink, Big Ewe cried. And your children have paws the last time I checked. Hairy Spiders, the mother possum, sneaked out cautiously from her own hollow. Possums name themselves after things they fear. Stink is in the nose of the beholder, said Hairy Spider. And while I personally think your children have a delightful odor fresh, I've already got dibs on the woodpile 2 doors down. Should anything happen to Dear Red? She patted me. No offense, love. Just thinking ahead, you know. No offense taken, I assured her. I saw that pile first, Big Ewe cried. Share the skunk den, Hairy Spider said. I wouldn't be caught dead in that place, Big Ewe exclaimed. Not now that I know my inquisitive children aren't wanted. Well, they are a bit boisterous, said Hairy Spiders. At least my children have spunk, said Big Ewe. Your kids faint when they see their own shadows. Playing possum is a useful adaptation, said Hairy Spiders. Her pink nose twitched. The world is a dangerous place, and in case you can't control it, it just happens. If I may interrupt, came a cool voice from my highest branches. It was Agnes. There's a nice-looking linden tree 2 blocks away, just vacated by a gray squirrel family. We're looking at it as a possibility, but there's a tomcat that runs loose there. Collar, no bell, so that's an issue. Also, a big slobbery dog. In fairness, all dogs are slobbery, Bongo observed. I really think you should all calm down, I interrupted. Let's not buy trouble. One day at a time, my friends, who knows what tomorrow brings. The mothers glared at me. I heard a great deal of sighing. Too much, old wise tree? I asked. Too much, old wise tree, Bongo confirmed, as everyone retreated into their homes in a huff. They're all a bit tense, Bongo said, worried about your situation. I can see that. I'm worried too, Bongo said in almost whisper. I know, I said gently, but every cloud has a silver red, Bongo interrupted. Sorry. There must be something I can do, Bongo said. You're a good friend, Bongo, but sometimes all you can do is stand tall and reach deep. Red! Sorry again. What will I do without you, Red? Bongo said softly. You'll be fine, my friend, I promise. We both fell quiet. At last, Bongo shook herself, feathers fluffing in any case. Maybe not the best time to be granting wishes at my point. Seems to me this is exactly the right time, I replied. Bongo groaned, her little old man groaned. She knew I wasn't backing down, and with that we began a plan. So, I would also like to see if you could email me a prediction. Do you think that Francesca will end up cutting down Red somewhere in our story, or do you think that Red will end up staying? Have a great day, everyone. Bye.